You know that specific quiet tension of waking up, grabbing your phone in the dark, and feeling the immediate visceral pull to react, perform, or just doom scroll before your feet even hit the floor. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are continuing our dive into the campaign series of Faith Flow Rooted Ministry. Today, we are answering the question, how should candidates use social media wisely?
Yeah, that morning dread, it's amplified tenfold for anyone running for office. There's this intense kind of artificial pressure in politics telling you that if you aren't hacking the algorithm, going viral, or ruthlessly fighting every single battle in the comment section, your campaign is basically dead in the water.
Right, because we treat the internet like this high-stakes battlefield, and by doing that, we're kind of losing the war for our own peace, aren't we?
Exactly. I mean, it requires a massive paradigm shift. Instead of treating your timeline like a war room, you have to realize that digital presence is actually digital discipleship.
Digital discipleship. I like that phrasing.
Yeah, it stops being about curating this aggressive online identity to win a 24-hour news cycle, and it becomes entirely about curating your integrity. The premise is simple, but, incredibly difficult in politics.
Well, sure, because it feels like you have to be loud to be heard.
But you don't. You don't have to go viral to be faithful. You just have to be available.
I hear that, but how does a candidate actually survive a modern election cycle that thrives on outrage? Like, choosing to remain quiet when the world demands a reaction sounds like political suicide.
It absolutely feels countercultural, I'll give you that.
Uh-huh.
But the foundation for this approach, it's grounded in Colossians 4.6, which says, "Let your conversation always be full of grace, seasoned with salt."
Seasoned with salt, right.
Because in the heat of a campaign, your tone online is your testimony. Voters read the underlying spirit of a post just as much as the policy points. If the spirit is frantic or, defensive, that communicates way more than the words themselves.
So the goal is really preserving your witness, curating your integrity instead of just an image, even when taking incoming fire.
Yeah, and doing that requires actual rest. This brings up Isaiah 30.15, which says, "In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength."
Oh, wow. Quietness and trust, that's the exact opposite of a Twitter war.
Completely the opposite.
Yeah.
We assume strength in politics means relentless posting, right? Just dominating the feed. But this points out that true strength requires deliberate digital boundaries and, honestly, Sabbath.
Yeah, you simply cannot lead effectively if your nervous system is constantly hijacked by a screen.
Exactly.
I see the value in quietness, but moving from that biblical why to the practical how is tricky. The Digital Disciple Guide introduces the digital tone filter. How does a candidate actually use that when they are furious and typing out a rebuttal?
Right, so the digital tone filter works by inserting this cognitive speed bump between a trigger and a response. Instead of hitting send while the adrenaline is spiking, you just pause.
Just forcing a pause.
Yeah, the candidate runs their draft through a specific set of internal questions. Like, does this add light or just heat? Am I being defensive or am I being helpful?
So by forcing the analytical part of the brain to engage with those questions, it literally downregulates the fight or flight response.
Spot on. It shifts them out of the emotional brain and back into the logical brain. So instead of a knee-jerk reaction that, they might have to apologize for later, it turns a chaotic habit into a peaceful, purpose-driven rhythm.
We invite you to check out the Digital Disciple Guide and its companion visual story, The Scroll and the Stillness Flipbook.
It's such a great resource.
It really is. That flipbook is a visual story of a woman breaking her morning phone addiction so she can curate her integrity instead of her image. And there's also the companion song, Stay Grounded, which serves as a worshipful reminder to turn off the digital noise and return to God's steady presence. You can find all of this specifically at the Faith Flow campaign series page at faithflowrootedministry.org.
It is so reassuring to remember that you can advocate for your platform, shine your light, and then, actually log off.
It makes you think about great leaders from the past. Figures like Abraham Lincoln or Winston Churchill had to navigate intense, vicious public criticism, but they didn't have a device in their pocket demanding an instant performative reaction to every rumor.
That's a really good point. They didn't have the 24-hour feed demanding their attention.
Right. They had the luxury of time, silence, and deliberation. If the leaders we revere most built their legacies on thoughtful pauses, maybe the ultimate political advantage today isn't a faster reply.
But having the discipline to wait.
Exactly. Just having the discipline to wait.